So this is the iterative feedback loop. Like if you want, you can pause the video, take a screenshot, do what you need to do, but I'm going to be walking you through each and every little piece here. Okay, so we're going to start with the idea. So how an idea looks like is, so in Y conditions, so in this environment, if I did X input, I wonder what the output would be. So the trading example would be when there are 5 green candles in a row, if I was to, and then here comes the input, get long and hold the position for 10 candles and then close it, what would the output be? So if I was to do this strategy, how good is this strategy? It's just, we're just asking a question, right? The next step is data. So we're going to need to collect information from somewhere, and we also need to store it somewhere, okay? So here's a super basic example. We're going to open TradingView. This is where we are going to be getting our information from. We're going to find every instance where there were 5 green candles in a row in the last 12 months. Then we're going to measure the return in the next 10 candles. And we're just going to put whatever that result was into a spreadsheet, right? So we're collecting data from TradingView and we are throwing it into a spreadsheet. This is the super basic example. After we've got all that data in a spreadsheet, it's now time to review the data. So we are looking to find insights within the data to see how good the idea actually is. So here's what we're going to be looking at. So the first one is frequency. So how many trades would I have gotten during that time period that I selected? So let's pretend that I got 100 trades in the last 12 months. How many winners did I get? 70. How many losers did I get? 30. What was the success rate of this idea? So 70. And then profit. So how much profit well, it's pretty self-explanatory. 23% in the last 12 months. Okay, so this is just a random example, but after you review your data, there's 2 outcomes that can happen, 2 main ones. Remember, this is very similar to the inputs outputs. So there's an X% chance that we actually discover an edge. So the idea that we tested, it actually has positive P&L, and there's something really, really interesting there that we can actually make more money on. We can either it is an idea that can make our existing strategy better, or it's an idea that could be for a completely brand new strategy. Since there's an X% chance that we find an edge or an improvement, that means that there is a 1 minus X% chance that we don't find an edge, okay? Get used to X being a low number. Why? Because, think about it. Edge is an inefficiency in the market. So it's abnormal, right? It's rare to find, and it's also hard to find. People are literally competing over trying to find edge. So it makes perfect sense that when you go through this process, I wonder how good this idea is. You collect the data on it, you review the data. It would make sense that most of your ideas are not gonna lead to something fantastic, right? It's completely normal for most of your experiments and your ideas to fail. Completely normal. Right? But again, remember, even if something doesn't work, it still gives you an insight, right? So before, you have this idea, I wonder how good this idea is. You start with, I'm not sure how effective this idea is. And then after you go through this loop, you get an insight. And the insight is, I am very sure that this idea is not effective, right? So even though the result is the same, your depth of understanding about the idea has improved. And as your depth of understanding about something improves, you get the ability to come up with more ideas or better ideas about whatever that topic or theme is, right? So regardless of whether you found edge or you didn't find an edge from doing the data review, regardless, it still leads to some kind of insight. And then after you find the insight, you just repeat the process and do it all over again, okay? So the more edges you find, the better results you get, okay? Because if you have found 1,000 things which make a whole bunch of money, you're probably going to have a really, really good system, okay? Because your skill and your results are just the byproduct of all of the edges and improvements and things that you have tested before in the past, right? Okay, so let's pretend that only 1% of your ideas lead to edge. That means that 99% of your ideas will suck. Sad face. So let's go through it. Okay, so 1% of your ideas actually lead somewhere. 99% of your ideas don't go anywhere. Okay, so if you go through this loop 20 times, so this means that, okay, I wonder how good this idea is. You go and collect the data on it. You review the data, and it turns out that the idea sucks. And then you get confirmation that the idea sucks. And then you come up with a new idea. Oh, I wonder if this other thing works. And you do this 20 times, you will probably find no edge, right? Because there's only a 1% chance that you find something good. If you go through this loop 80 times, again, you will probably find no edge. If you go through this loop 200 times, here's where it gets interesting, you might actually find 2 edges, right? Because if there's a 1% chance that you find an edge and you go through this loop 200 times, you're probably going to find 1 or 2 edges. If you go through this loop 1,000 times, you might find 10. If you go through it 10,000 times, you might find 100. If you go through this feedback loop 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000, you might find about 10,000 edges. So you absolutely can brute force your way to finding edges, right? If you come up with more ideas every month, if you collect more data each month, if you do more reviews each month, you will get more insights each month, right? And if you get more insights and the more times that you repeat this loop, what's going to happen? You will improve at how you come up with ideas, right? The more times that you repeat something, it's going to be like you're naturally going to improve at it at a very at a certain rate. So if you do something a lot, you'll gradually get better at it. You will also improve and learn how to collect better data. You will also improve and learn to perform better reviews. And that naturally is just going to lead to better edges and also better insights too, which again, it's a constant loop which continues to reinforce itself. So my point here is that trading is ultimately a numbers game. Your level up is not on the other side of another trading video, and you're not going to find it in a trading podcast or some X article, okay? If you really want to level up your trading, just go and collect 1,000 failed trading ideas, because this is going to teach you more about trading than any article, video, live stream, book, or podcast, right? If you go through this loop 1,000 times, I want to say it again because I really want to drill it. I really want to drill this point home, okay? If you go through this loop 1,000 times, I promise you, this will teach you more about trading than any video or like any education or whatever, right? Go through the loop. Learn by doing, not from watching.